listen, free agent lifestyle, as you can see, is on my shirt. It's everywhere. That's the brand. That is the label. Everybody can look at it. It's a philosophy,
Okay.
So it's a philosophy within a philosophy. It started off as me going your own way, and people typically transition into some sort of other type of lifestyle. So, in essence, the free agent lifestyle, people get it misconstrued. They think it's me telling you not to deal with women at all, but we're telling men that, in essence, we know what you want. You want peace, quiet, and freedom. Typically, when you're dealing with the Western woman, you're not going to get any of that if you don't have leverage and options.
Okay.
So I'm telling men, remove yourself from a certain perspective in order to get the leverage and options you need. And as a, free agent lifestyle, free agent in sports, right? Football, basketball, they typically in the last year of their contract can improve their status and for another team to pick them up, right? So then if that team picks them up, you're probably going to get the best offers you possibly can. So you remove yourself, work on yourself, take a year, take 6 months, whatever you need to do, work on yourself, then put yourself back out in the market. And then I guarantee you, if you have the leverage and options, you'll get the deal that you want.
So I see where there's some philosophical divergence here.
Yep.
So I see why the folks are like, okay, this is going to be a good conversation. So, because initially when I was hearing the concept free agent, I was like, the free agent ain't got a team. So initially everyone's like, okay, this is a bad thing because a free agent doesn't have a team. And the idea is that you always want to be aligned with the team, right? And in this case, you're talking about maybe stepping away from a female. So I think that's where they're looking at the ideological difference. Correct. Whereas I say, a lot of guys saying, go get your money right and then get you a female. And I say, get you a female to help you get your money right.
I see. Okay, so that's where. Okay, so that's where the divergence is. So a lot of men, that requires a certain type of man. Some men can do something like that, and I think not a lot of men can do something like that unless they have some direction, right? So a lot of guys are misguided themselves in trying to get that, and they might be trying to mimic or copy a personality, maybe me or you. Okay, but they don't have the ability because the component that requires is a small component, but there's other components that if they have the absence of that component, they may not be successful. Let me just give you an example. So let's just say you had game, and people have always looks, money, status, game, personality. What's more important? And they might say, what's more important to the woman? Well, for me, I say, what's more important to you? Okay. Right. So they might say, well, in the absence of height, in the absence of money, in the absence of personality status, I'm going to overindulge in game. And I'm going to say, you're going to make a mistake because you're going to need one of these things at some point, or you're going to lose the woman, which then is require you to invest more time in replacing the woman. So it becomes a situation where they're constantly juggling and finding themselves because what they're trying to find is the woman, which you're telling them to find. But I say that's the distraction because the woman doesn't offer that much value to you in the short term. You might think so, but in the long term, yes, you see where it is. In the short term, she doesn't provide that much value to you.
Coach Greg Adams needs some ism. Coach Greg Adams needs some ism. Okay, this is going to be good.
This is going to be good.
Yeah. This is going to be good. Oh, man, there's so much to go through here.
Yeah.
Look, and I don't.
This is why people are going to be
right.
This is why
my mouth is watering. Look, my mouth is watering for it. Rob writes, "Peace to the saints, Coach. I got great respect for you and believe you are a wise man. But I believe the right man can mold a woman to be an asset to him and make him greater. The woman is created for the man. What say you?"
Is he a Bible thumper? Is that the woman's created for the man? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't.
Might be a lukewarm Christian. We talk about them too. The lukewarms. He's fired up about the Lord. So, but no, I'm just saying. In this particular stance, what you're saying is, you're reading from the Bible and saying that type of stuff. Hey, whatever your belief system is, it is what it is. At this particular point, I would say there are some elite men out here. There are some elite men that understand what it is. And if you come in beforehand and really lay down the rules and understand what it is and leverage yourself and you have options, absolutely. But we're talking about a select few of men.
So you're saying what you speak to is for the average man's consumption.
Well, if I made this for the non-average man, I might be out of business.
Gotcha. Well, I don't think that's the case because
not necessarily, but you know what I mean.
No, it's not the case because we find that a lot of people don't have accurate sense of self. They can't look in the mirror and see what's really there. the female and the male in our society. And in fact, one of the things that made him so popular is because he told a great lie. He looked into the German people and said, "You are the best of all peoples.
Right.
You're the best looking. You're the most intelligent. You're the most industrious." That was a lie.
That was
right?
a lie.
But he told
everybody
them
know that. Yes, and they tried to actually carry that out through eugenics and whatnot, and it was failed. It was a failed system.
It was a lie, but the German people bought into it at a level that made them start an entire world war, and even went Tupac, us against everybody. So they bought into it at a deep psychological level, which is to say that yes, you can sell very well by telling lies. And I think that's one of the comedies of the internet. You even have folks telling young men that they're high value when they're not high value at all.
Absolutely.
And then on the other side, you have women who think that they're queens when they would be peasants in a kingdom. You heard me.
Actually, we're on the, as much as you think we're not on the same page, we're pretty much speaking the same. I think where you might be diverging a little bit is on the principle of, like the guy said there, the woman that might be created for the man, and you can get him. I think a select few of guys can do that. And I always tell you, leveraging options is essential for that type of system. If you're in a feudal society, you have peasants, and you have a lot of queens and sisters that would be in the peasantry and whatnot.
Most of them.
Yeah. But what would happen is the top people, the clergy, the people who are in the kingdom and so forth and so on, we can pick these people off. And that definitely is, they have the leverage and options. If you are out there with the rake next to the peasants, probably not so much. It's going to take you some time.
I think you're right in that we do diverge on that, in as much as I'm certain that not all men might be able to have what I have in the way of women, or even the domination of large numbers of women, or even the level of domination of a single woman. However, I'm certain that every man can be the king in his home. You might be a janitor out in the world, but you can be a king in your home. And so I believe that every man should dominate his woman and keep his foot on her neck. And what's more, she should be pleased to have his foot on her neck.
Correct.
Okay, we agree there.
We agree. However, wait.
Internet, y'all told me we was enemies. We was ideological enemies. What are you doing agreeing with me? How dare you?
Here's where I say,
okay, go MGTOW.
Where you may
go MGTOW.
Free agent.
You're right.
This is free agent. This is free agent.
Wow. What's the website if they want to cop one?
GregAdams1.com.
Greg Adams, the number one.
O-N-E spelled.
O-N-E. Okay, Greg Adams, O-N-E, if you want to cop the shirt.
Correct.
For sure. Okay.
Now, this is what I would say. I would add to that what you said.
Okay.
And then I would say, do not involve the legal system.
Bruh.
Do not involve.
Absolutely not. Look.
Well, okay, so people think we disagree.
Look.
Do not involve the legal system.
Coach, check me out. I don't mess with the government at such a serious level that when those like they were giving out checks to help people keep their companies,
PPO, I can't remember. I did not go for any of that.
I said I will not accept your welfare for my businesses.
Correct.
I won't accept your welfare for me personally. My mom called me like, "Hey, they giving out everybody a check. My hairdresser's son ain't never worked in his life. He got a check. You better go apply." I was like, I don't care what they giving out. I said
the same thing.
I don't want it.
Correct.
I don't want it.
I wanted no parts of that, and I know people who did that, and a lot of people get in trouble. I'm like, I don't want the government to have my information unless they need it. In order to give that, you have to give them information about you, and I think that's a mistake. Yeah,
I think we can agree on that one. Is assassin or nothing. You dig? Zenaria writes, "Peace to the Saints tuition. Yes, indeed, we all need this. Ism go easy, Saint. Most men tell me they want to build first before getting a woman. I'm like, the ism says, get a woman to help you. You dig, bruh. Look, and this is the thing that trips me out. When I was a young boy, I was 16. I remember my mom said, Mark, your car's getting dirty. You ought to wash it. I said, you're right. Tiana, wash that car.
Correct.
And then I sat back and watched her wash that car. You heard me. And that's boss mentality.
Yes.
Which is, there's anything that you can have someone else do. Oh, you ought to. And the idea that you would waste the great resource of the female who is great with detail, who's very effective, especially when her emotions are engaged. I find it strange that someone's going to say, hey, I'm going to go build independently when you can build with someone in collaboration. I find that to be strange.
Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
I've been living it my whole life.
Now, this is where I will come in and say, how many women have you had to do that with? One?
Oh my goodness.
Or 100?
Oh my good. I couldn't even count them.
So that's where I would tell a guy, yes, you're saying get a woman to help you build. The problem with that is when we have the experiences that many men have experienced, they had that woman and then go back to the marriage wheel. Essentially, you'll have to replace that woman multiple times. There's not one, there's going to be multiple of those.
Right.
And then I would tell a guy, what did you get in the end? You got your car washed. So in that time, you got your car washed. However, you spent infinite amount of time instead of putting into you having to train another woman. And at that point, you didn't get he says, get a woman. I say you're going to get women. You're going to have to repeat that and duplicate that process, which is time consuming. And his then statement turns false when I say get women. You're going to get women to help you. And she's not going to help you build.
Coach, I don't know, Coach. It seems as though you're challenging the entire corporate model. So, for example, McDonald's, they base their whole program on creating systems wherein they can switch people in and out to do the work of the greater corporation. And the corporation, that's the greatest benefit.
Correct.
You talk about you have to train the woman. But anytime you train someone, you're still saving yourself time because they can repeat the task that you train them to do. But more importantly, when you're having them do basic tasks, there's no training. Like, for example, in the case where she cleaned my car, she already knew how to clean a car better than I know how to clean a car, number one. And then number two, in the case of women who prepare your meals on a regular basis, women who do your scheduling, who handle all the things, call down and set up appointments, there's no training there, and you're just saving pure time. So the logic doesn't follow. Further, when you look at the corporate model, we're essentially talking about a boss that has employees, which is someone who's at the leadership position and has those working on their behalf. So if the structure that I described in the corporate setting doesn't work in the personal setting, you're basically saying it's not productive to have someone else handle smaller affairs.
I like what you said here. So I'm going to add to this. See, it's close. We're close. In the corporate setting as well, you have high turnover rate at the certain levels. And also corporations lose money when they have to replace new employees because simply many of the things the first couple of months, a person might be able to know how to do things. Let's say she knows how to wash a car, but does she know how to wash the car the way I need it? She may know how to cook, but does she know how to cook for me? So that is going to require no. This is absolute. This is absolute. So you brought in the corporate model. Corporations, when they replace an employee, they actually spend more to retain than they do to recruit.
Retention is a great thing.
Why? Because they've trained them in the essence of their corporation. They want that employee to drink that Kool-Aid. And when they bring in a new person, it actually costs them more. And so what guys are doing here is they're kind of bringing in certain things and trying to cover it as a one-all be-all, but it doesn't work that way.
So number one, you talk about the replacement of the female. There's one cost that you've overlooked.
What did I overlook?
So there's a certain piece that a man has. And gentlemen, I know you know when you've been missing this piece, when you had that hankering, maybe first thing in the morning, maybe late at night, you'd like to lay down with a woman to have the physical release.
Correct.
Then beyond that, there's another aspect that we also fail to mention enough, which is the emotional aspect of having that feminine energy there. You heard me? Being around a woman brings a peace itself. When you have an absence of that, you spend your time pursuing it and searching it out, or you spend your time with internet or masturbation, all of these things that have become vices in the absence of a decent woman. So there's actually a significant cost to not having a woman in play.
Could be. But most men require very little, right? We require peace, quiet, and freedom. Most women, because we talk about this, and this isn't just women, it's men. We kind of talked about this, but I missed the point. So I'm going to go back and reference it. We live in interesting times.
Yes, we do.
Most people believe that they're queens or kings and they're peons.
I don't know if people believe in their kings out here. I feel like it's mostly these slores out here is wildly overweight thinking they're queens. Which is bizarre. But go ahead.
But however, it also speaks to people don't even have home training at this particular point.
Factual.
Okay, so we agree on that.
Tell me more.
So their lack of home training, by the time they get to you, you're going to have to do such a deconstruction and a rebuild that since our society does not have parental guidance, they also don't have father figures. They don't have a guy who stabilizes that woman and prepares that woman. you're going to have to deconstruct that person. It's going to take some time, man. I know in a perfect world, I know in a perfect world, it's like, oh, she's coming ready. She has a base.
So we have categories. We have categories, right?
Yeah.
Just like you don't take every interviewee and hire them. You don't take every interviewee and say, oh, you're C-suite material. You get to be the chief operations officer. No. Some people got to be the secretary. There are different roles for different persons. Exactly. Just like when you have women come into your influence, you say, okay, this girl's a jump off. You heard me? She might be a hit it and quit it.
Absolutely.
We ain't going to do nothing else with it. I'm going to pretend I don't know her when I see her. Or she might be in the category of limited association. She has some decent personality. Her morals are not completely destroyed.
Yep.
And she got some good cats. So she's going to be in limited association. You got a girl who's a side piece. You got women who are main pieces. The key is to properly categorize these women and limit their influence in your life only to the category you have put them in those fixed categories. And then you extract value appropriately.
What are your percentages on available women? I mean, this is just hypothetical. Yeah. What are your percentages on how many people would fall into this person can help me build?
That's a great question you ask, Coach. And depending on the man, the qualifications for the position are different. So, for example, in my case, right, you're dealing with a guy who's internationally traveled, had offices around the world. So I need a woman to have a certain level of skills to be able to conduct my affairs.
Correct.
But I happen to be surrounded by that type of woman, right? You got to remember like where I'm moving at, right?
That sounds like what I was saying.
So I'm surrounded by that kind of woman, just as a guy who's in the earlier stages of his, economic adventure into wealth, he's around women who are appropriate for that level. So when you can take that woman, provide her with a little bit of ism and motivation, she can help get him to the next level. And here's the funny thing. Once she helps drive him to the next level, he might have to drop her off at the bus stop and pick up one who's can get to the next level. You see what I'm saying?
We're very close. I mean, I think we sound like we're far, but I think ultimately the call to action is where we differ. Okay, I would say in this situation, based on what he's saying right here, in the modern times, that would be foolish. And I would probably say he's never been married. He's probably never lived with a woman. He's never been in a long-term relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm going to probably say that. What he's saying is coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's what he's saying. And I guarantee you he has no receipts and no examples of what he speak of. So when you do provide some damn receipts and examples of what you speak of, you're just speaking coulda, woulda, shoulda. And we don't deal in coulda, woulda, shouldas.
Coach wanted to say, Coach said meet him in the parking lot.
Bring that ass. Yeah. Bring it over here. And let me know and show me examples. But we don't evaluate on what you could do. We evaluate on what's real.
Shout out to the free agents in here. Okay. All right. Shout out to Angry.
Shout out to the Angry
Man. Chidi writes, greetings to you both, Coach Greg. Just out of curiosity. The funniest questions start with that phrase.
Yeah, right. You already know what it's going. Yeah,
Lord. Just out of curiosity. And they always say it like really calm. Like, yeah, Coach. Just out of curiosity.
We always talk about debating tactics and
have you checked out of the dating market, or do you still date women?
It depends on what you mean date, but yes, I'm still involved. I'm still in the field. I still talk to women. I think a lot of people really don't understand. They think free agent, I'm in a corner with a light on like this. Yeah, talking, jacking off to the computer. I don't date in terms of how a normie, missing link, a knuckle dragger, a mouth breather would date. But yes. All right, Neanderthal. All right, ham and egger. You guys date. Hoping you invest $600, $700 into the woman. She pats you on your head like this, and then your ass back at home. All right, so I don't do that. No.
Timothy writes, CGA has helped me vet out women, and I've dodged all types of bullets thanks to him. Coach is the truth.
Appreciate you, brother.
There you go. And it's also important to acknowledge that you have experience.
This is what a lot of young men are missing because, they think they could tell their uncle and their father who had the experience what the hell to do here. And you sitting around here living at your mama's house trying to tell me what to do. And we have the experience to try to safeguard you. I'm here to safeguard you. I'm not a braggart. I am, a little bit of a tyrant and that type of thing. Everybody knows I will Thanos snap. I would prefer to Thanos snap some of these ham and eggers out here. You stealing my oxygen and my money, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm not. Have you ever heard me say I'm the leader? I'm the this and that? No, I'm CGA, and I'm trying to safeguard men as much as you think that I don't know about this ism, and I ain't never been a player and never had no hoes, and I'm a virgin.
I just dropped a hoe out my pocket.
Yeah,
you want it? Yeah,
you want it?
Here you
despite
go,
the fact that I have 2 children. And so a lot of guys think
Uh-huh.
that, but I'm really out here to safeguard. That's my only thing. I'm here to safeguard. You don't have to agree. And you could go out there and say, screw you. I'm going to try to do what I do. But I would say 90% of guys that say, screw you, I'm going to do what I want to do. They bring their ass right back to my channel and they be like, you was right.
Lord. Baller alert. Zenaria writes, you say I never been with a woman because they don't help you build. A woman will do near anything for you if she's emotionally invested. He ain't never lied.
I agree.
As you are more experienced than me, I'm surprised you don't agree.
I agree.
I have been with women who help me make money thanks to the same.
Again, he proved my point. He's proving my point. And see, the thing is, again, a lot of people try to take what you're saying and they keep it in this little vacuum. You're proving my point. He said a woman will do near anything for you if she's emotionally invested. Now, this is why I'm a school the guy. First of all, your ass need to learn punctuation and some damn capitalization, but that's neither here or there. You trying to tell me what to do, and you sent $50 of your damn Publix money and your damn Winn-Dixie money trying to tell me what the hell to do. But anyway, when I wrote whole damn books. But look,
this man want all the smoke. This man said, if you have smoke, please come forward.
But
load it up.
But see, I agree with him. The problem that he doesn't understand is she ain't going to be emotionally invested that long. Proof tells you that is not going to be the case. There ain't been one person on this earth. Look, okay, let me just tell you. This is how I tell my audience. Get out a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to write down, and this guy will probably have a shorthand version of this. Write down every woman you've been with, you've bedded, you've played, you've had sex with, you've been in a relationship with, you've married. Go ahead and write that down. Write it down. Write it down. However old you are, you can use the front or back of the paper. Now, draw a line at the end of whoever you wrote down. Tell me who you got right now. And I guarantee you 90% of you will have a fat 0 at the end of that. And so we tell people you're an Owen. You're 0-50 in this attempt, in this endeavor of keeping a woman emotionally invested. So what I'm telling you is you're right in what you're saying, but you're going to have to keep that going. Not one has found one and kept that eternally. You're going to have to
understand. Are you saying that there aren't any men out here who have marriages that have been going for like 50, 60 years?
There are.
Okay. All right.
But are you defining that as success? Or is that part
of? I would say that's successful. Yeah. If you say you're a gentleman, you meet a young lady that is signed up for your program and you stay married to her, here you are 50 years later, you're still with her, you got kids, you got a happy family. That's for sure that's success.
I don't define that as success. Many times people stay together for a variety of reasons. I actually put it in my book.
Okay. So you're saying with the caveat that you're happy in the relationship.
You're happy.
The relationship itself.
You're staying for the kids. There's always people who stay together because, and it's never they're emotionally invested, or rarely ever they're emotionally invested. There's another reason they stayed together. They couldn't afford the divorce, religious reasons, the Jehovah's Witness. And before you got to that woman, you were an Owen until you got to that woman. Again, it proves my point. You can have a woman emotionally invested and you can get something from her as long as she's emotionally invested until she's not.
Is your idea that you're going to die alone?
No. Hold on a second. Let me attack this part.
Okay.
Then he says,
so hold on one second. I'm roasting. I'm cooking right now. Hold on, goddammit.
And then his last statement again proves my point. I've had women help me. Well, that proves my point. You're on board. You've had to duplicate this process over and over again. This kind of fits into my philosophy. Yes, you can do this. Many times it's temporary. As long as you're telling me that it's temporary, then we can be in agreement. If you're telling me this is a long-term strategy, I'm saying you're a fool. Okay. It's not a long-term strategy. This, what you guys are believing in,
there's a time limit on every woman.
It's very short-term.
And how long are you gonna get? How long a run you gonna get out of one of these floozies?
Well, it depends on how you vet, right? Okay. And so again, you could get 10 years, you could get 15, you could get 1 month.
10-year run, a good run, boy.
You could get a good run. But my point of the book, or my point of philosophy is, a lot of times people put these coulda, woulda, shouldas, and you should. However, you're agreeing with me when we agree that this is a short-term strategy. That might not be beneficial because we're in this long-term game.
Is your suggestion that almost no one has a woman that they've been married to for several decades and they're still in that marriage because they're really still invested in that woman?
Well, we looked at statistics, and that is rarely the case. Many of these people sleep in separate bedrooms. Many of these people have filed for divorces and have talked to attorneys at some particular point. Many of these people have affairs. A lot of people look at their grandparents. I want a marriage like that. Well, your grandpa was a Rolling Stone. He got a whole damn family in Vietnam and you don't know about. He got family around the corner in Columbus, Ohio. Your mama was in these streets. 5 of your damn uncles and aunts ain't even your uncles and aunts. So let's not get that straight. See, this is what people have to understand.
Auntie Nisi, your fake auntie?
She ain't your real biological auntie, and we know these things to be the case. And these people are still together. So they battle through some things, just like young people in our generation of marriages and relationships. We battle through things. Some people stayed together through it.
Sibo writes, I preface with, I haven't seen much of CGA, but what I hear seems to be from a position of fear/losing. I'm all about logic/risk mitigation, but it seems to me your strategy falls to not playing the game for fear of losing the game.
Boy, I mean, listen, this is why you can't judge a man from a 1-hour podcast. This is why I write books. This is why I continue to do my show. So yes, it might seem that way, but a man has to make an investment. And what I found that many men don't make investments. And this is the failure of man. So I would suggest to you that you invest in the message just a little bit more before you pass the judgment. I haven't passed judgment on you, but you've passed judgment on me, but I placed myself in that position. But you can't learn everything from a YouTube video. So I would try to tell you, go ahead and spend a little bit more money to invest in the message. And you might find that you're more on par with me than you believe.
NBA Mastermind is back. He writes, Coach often laughs at us saying that we have a 99% relationship fail rate. How does that resonate with Marquette? I think when you look at life, there's some things where 99% fail rate is fine. For example, in business, when I tell you to create 10 products, create 11 products, well, you only need to be successful with one. Now you've created a multi-million-dollar foundation that's going to last you over a lifetime. And even if for some reason that multi-million-dollar foundation withers away, you now have the skill so that you can recreate very quickly. And the nature of life is that you will suffer ill health. You will suffer loss of your loved ones. You will suffer all of these different things. I'm not concerned about the 99%. I'm concerned about the 1%. And how do you race through the 99% so you can enjoy the 1%, make it last as long as possible? So I get that. There's wisdom in that. And one thing that, Coach points out is that, sometimes it's young men talking to someone who's more experienced, and you just understand when you get older, if ever, so there's truth in both of what we're saying. So there's truth and then there's perspective. And then there's also focus. Like, for example, one teacher walks into a public school in Baltimore. Like, God damn, there's like 8 kids in here who are just crazy in this classroom. Another teacher walks in, he says, yes, and there's 28 kids who are doing exactly what you want them to do. They're focused, they're learning, they're taking notes. And so there's truth, there's perspective and focus. And so
I want people to understand, a lot of times people think when I say 99% failure rate is to not try. What I would tell you is don't let it break you.
Right.
I mean, a lot of you guys are hoping that this is the last one, and it isn't statistically, and it breaks you. You know what I mean? I don't want men to be broken out here because of these things happen. You're dealing with some very fickle people.
Yes.
In these times, these women are fickle as hell. They change their opinion, hopefully as much as they change their underwear, and even that is probably not as accurate, because some of these girls walk around here with dirty drawers, and y'all be down trying to get at them, and they ain't wiped their rear end good. I'm just letting you know.
Gang writes, pre-anticipating is part of the free agent lifestyle.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
Rainman writes, CGA did all the talking with no solution for asset protection. Maybe that's why his ex-wife played him in court for over $60K. An incel with money doing live streams in a game chair is still an incel. Peace to the saints.
I'm actually a virgin too. And I've had 2 children through the Immaculate Conception. So whatever he says is true.
It's smoke going back and forth out here, man. I'm just the moderator.